Welcome back to the Prosperity Playbook. You've got Renee, Britt, and Courtney here. Today, we're going to talk about procrastination, which is a hot button for me. This is something I feel like I've struggled with my entire life. So I'm hoping this is going to be my magic ticket and it's just going to be all fixed today.
I mean, I literally think that everyone procrastinates. And if you don't, you're lying.
It makes me not
That
sleep
makes me
at
feel better.
night.
It what?
It makes me not sleep at night if I procrastinate.
Okay.
Mine's a whole different issue.
All right. Well, say more about that.
I think having too big of a list and the prioritization gets overruled by I have to do this now, like showing property or new client calls and wants me to come look at their house and your dog gets sick, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And those are my issues.
So I think what that sounds like to me and what I think that procrastination is just emotional regulation and not knowing which things take priority, because as women who are trying to do everything for everyone, as business owners who are trying to make sure all of our clients are happy and stay successful, we have a to-do list that has 500 things on it all the time.
100%. That right as we are speaking, I have a real estate agent right now that is like, hey, I need you to do this pre-approval for me. The property just came on the market. Like I want it now. And it is hard. I mean, our industries, you can't always wait. You have to jump in. And so as much as I like to plan my day and block things out, you also have to be a little bit reactive as well.
Yeah.
Because as much as I try to teach people that you get pre-approved before you start looking at properties,
Me
they
too.
don't always do it.
Yeah. I think we procrastinate to avoid discomfort and uncertainty. And I know a big one for me is I procrastinate because of the fear of doing it, quote unquote, wrong.
Interesting.
And I don't know that I necessarily do this, but I do think that some people procrastinate because of fear of what success might require next, right? Like if I do this, it's going to mean that I have more work to do in the future. And so it's almost like self-sabotaging.
Or more responsibility.
Right.
I think I do that. I call it the fear of being caught up, because if I was totally caught up and didn't have a giant list, then I'd have to work on the actual projects that I've been putting off. I'd have to work on the things I was procrastinating on.
I would never have the nothing on my list to do because I will always find something.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I have multiple lists, right? I have like, here's today's list. I have these are things I'd really like to do someday. Like I have the personal list of the shit that needs to get done. So yes, there is always something, but sometimes it's easier to just stay in that checking the little things off the list mode as opposed to like, okay, I said I'm going to do a newsletter. And if I have free time, then that needs to be my new priority. And I actually have to freaking do it.
No, your videos are your newsletter.
I
So you can cross that off your list.
have found that when I have something that I'm just like dreading doing, I will add 20 more easy things to my to-do list instead of not adding those things and just doing the hard thing.
Yeah.
And I don't really know how to get past that or why I do that, because every time I finally just sit down and tackle the thing, it takes me like maybe an hour and I feel so much better after I do it. But I do have a tendency to just like blow this thing up into my head into proportions of like astronomical size, when in reality it's not ever that big of a deal.
It's the eat the frog thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Will you, for people who don't know what you're talking about, will you explain that?
Yeah, there's a book. It's called Eat the Frog, and basically the premise of it is, now you don't have to read the book because I'm going to tell you, but basically you do the thing that you are dreading the most the first thing in the morning, because it is never as bad as you think, just like you said, and usually you feel great afterwards, and everything else after that is simple. It just starts your day off in a great manner.
Yeah.
My other paralyzation with doing the thing is sometimes you just don't know where to start.
Well, I think that is my thing with the big projects. So for me, it's like, I think it's an instant gratification because checking the things off feels good. It's a dopamine hit, like done, done, done. I feel good. I did what that client needed. And that's the thing. I check the boxes on all the things that the clients need from me. But say the newsletter project, that's technically for me. It's going to bring more clients eventually, but it's just me. I'm the only one that knows that that's not getting done. But it's kind of like what you just said. I don't know where to start. I don't know what for me, it's like, okay, if I commit to a project like that, I have to commit to doing it every single week. And that feels very daunting for me.
Yeah, you have a pretty big list already.
I do.
And I don't know that people read the newsletters like we want them to.
No, they don't. But my newsletter is going to be less than 90-second read. And it's
Okay.
going to have no pictures and it's going to have no links because all of that stuff just gets
Meat and
caught up in
potatoes.
your spam filter. And I think the main reason, total sidebar, but the reason to do it, I mean, social media, like my social media account could get hacked and be gone tomorrow. So the whole goal is to off-platform the people into something that I actually have control of. Like Instagram could actually just decide to go away tomorrow.
Right.
And then, I mean, that would be devastating for my business. So the goal is off-platform people have something that you have control over, that you can stay in touch. And not all my past clients and not all my real estate agents are on social media or following my social media. So it's a way to touch base with those other people. So the goal is to get people to say, hey, I saw you on social media. Now I want to subscribe to your newsletter. That's once a week. That's a 90-second something that is like legit. I actually want to learn
Well, that
this.
makes sense. I approve.
Great. Back on the list.
One of the things that has helped me and that I just like have to continue to remind myself of is lowering the barrier of entry so that the starting doesn't feel so big. Like a big example that I have used for myself in the past is if I'm feeling really unmotivated to go to the gym, I will put all of my gym clothes in a stack on my bedside table so that in the morning there is nothing, like I don't have to think about it. All I have to do is roll over, put on the gym clothes and get in the car.
Yeah. I've actually heard of people sleeping in their gym clothes for that
Yeah.
exact thing because then they have no excuse. They just have to put their shoes on and walk out the door.
Yeah. And I think like my friend is an author and she said, if I'm having really big mental block or writer's block and just can't start, don't know where to start, she's like, I will open my computer and my goal is to just write one sentence. And as soon as that one sentence is on paper, it's flowing,
It
right?
starts to flow,
She's like, okay, as soon as that one sentence is done, I'm good. But if I take away I have to write 500 words today, and instead it's like, you know what? I'm opening my computer, I'm writing a sentence. That feels so much more achievable.
I agree. And I think, so there was a time in my life I was really good at tackling the big projects. And what I did is I took those first couple hours of the morning and that's when I did it. I would get up at 6. I'd just go straight to my desk and I would sit down and I would have probably an hour to an hour and a half of time where my email's not blowing up, my phone's not blowing up, nobody needs anything from me yet, nobody's expecting me to be online until 8 o'clock, and I can truly just don't open email. If you open email, you're dead. Like you now are in reactive
That's
mode
very
and
true.
the rest of your day is screwed. But if you don't open that and you just start tackling and you have a project already identified that you figured out at 5 o'clock the day before, this is what I'm working on tomorrow, so that you don't spend the whole time wondering, and you just know that what that one step is, and you're taking one step per day. And it doesn't have to be that it takes an hour and a half. It can be that it takes 5 minutes to do whatever the first step is. And then the next day, whatever the second step is. And I was so productive when I was in a good habit of doing that. And I would love to get back into that.
The best advice that I've gotten is time blocking, which it doesn't necessarily have to be first thing in the morning, but it's, from 1 to 3 o'clock on next Tuesday, I am doing X. And what you said, don't open your email, go put your phone in another room.
Yep.
Like if you are time blocking, if you're setting aside this time to do this, whatever it is, you have to make sure that you have all of your other distractions put away, because when our brains are in this like mode of putting up all of the walls and being in procrastination station, they are looking for the very first escape. And so
Absolutely.
as soon as you open up any of those things, it's like an immediate escape route for you to go to.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think the key to time blocking is not time blocking everything. It's like if you try to time block your whole day, it won't work because you have to react somewhere along the way.
You got
But-
to leave that time,
Yeah.
some time open for that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. And you have to schedule it like it's a meeting with a client. Like it's a non-negotiable. You're not canceling it unless there's a freaking medical emergency somewhere. You're showing up for that, and you're showing up for yourself on that. And maybe it is you schedule it to go to a coffee shop to work on it, or if that helps you. That would be more distracting for me. I'd find 47 people I knew, and I'd be listening to the conversation at the booth next to me, or whatever. It wouldn't work for me. But if that would be a treat for you to be able to I'm going to go get my fancy coffee and sit there and work on this one thing, make it make a reward for yourself to get something at the end of it, even if it is a coffee or you're going to go for a walk. I actually have started scheduling the times where I'm going to walk my dogs during the day, because if I don't do that, I think it's going to fit in there, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the other key is to make sure that you're really realistic around what's on that list. And if it can't fit into your calendar, you just need to know it's not happening that day. So
And
you
how
have to
much
get really
time it's going to take.
Yeah. You have to get really realistic around yourself. And part of the thing that happens with me is like, I've had so many hard loans lately. You know, if I have an easy loan, I can knock that thing out in 20 minutes sometimes, but none of them are like that anymore. And they all take hours. And I get done with one and I'm like, dear God, I'm drained. And now I'm like, I need a snack. I need tea. I need something. And I think that's okay to get up and move around a little bit. And sometimes you can't eat all the frogs in a row. Like I have to tackle one hard one and then I'll go pick off a couple easy like refi quotes or something. And then I'll be like, okay, now it's time. But I start my day with a list and then I highlight everything on that list that has to happen that day. And sometimes, almost all the times, I highlight too many things and that bites me in the ass. But then I go back through and I number them 1 through whatever is on the list. And that's the only way that I can stay on track. Because if I start to think about which one I want to do next, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm distracted.
I have, when I've been just like paralyzed because my to-do list is too long, I have used ChatGPT. I think I might have talked about this on an episode.
That's so brilliant.
Where I basically will just go in and say, you know, I'll type everything that's on my to-do list and then I will put a bunch of stars or asterisks next to the ones that are most important. The more stars it has, the more important it is. And then I will put in how long I think it will take. So like you said, if you have a loan that you're like, I know this is going to be a pain in the ass, I will book out extra time for it. And I will have chat organize it in most important to least important and create a little calendar for me. I've done that probably 5 times in the last few months. And every time that I've just been like, I am drowning and I don't know how to get out, that is what has gotten me out.
I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
But one of the
smart.
things that also screws me up is like when I was trying to do the social media for this podcast and Instagram was like, well, I want your password. Well, the password I had written down was not what it was taking. So I finally just had to put it on the back burner, come back to it, and now hasn't gotten done.
Well, there is something to that. And but I think if you've got that time block piece of it, you got to just tackle it right then and there, because that is exactly what happens to me. I'll hit one roadblock and then that shit just gets pushed to the very end.
Have you girls heard about the 5-second rule?
Only about dropping food on the floor.
Yes, I have heard.
So I think it's Mel Robbins that I heard it from.
It is.
But it's basically the moment that you have an instinct to act on something, literally say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when you get to 1, you do it. This can apply to getting out of bed. It can apply to doing the hard thing, but it interrupts overthinking before your brain talks you out of it. Like it works because it is bypassing your prefrontal cortex's habit of catastrophizing whatever this big thing is. And so you're just deciding to start. And to be honest, I have tried doing this when I'm in the like super overwhelmed burnout, and it hasn't worked for me in those instances, but it does work for me really well when I am needing to leave to go to the gym, or when there's a difficult email that I need to send, or, you know, like micro actions that I need to take. This is a really good brain hack where it's just like, okay, take a deep breath, count down from 5, and you have no other option except for to do this thing when I get to 0.
Mine's like Nike, just do it.
Yeah.
I don't even count.
Well, I feel like I've heard the 5-minute rule, and I've done this before, where if it takes less than 5 minutes, just do it the second it pops up. Just get it off your list, because it takes more brain power for you to like put it on the list and then remember what it was later and go back to it. So sometimes when I need that like kind of dopamine hit, I will go through and find the easiest things on my list and just start knocking them off. Because if I can sometimes bust out 5 things on my list and cross that shit off, I feel good. And I'm like, okay, now we got momentum. Let's do some hard shit.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's the opposite of eat that frog.
Our office does, they call it red, yellow, and green time with our calendars. And they just did another training on this, but I think when people are procrastinating, it can be so easy to just say, well, just manage your time better. You're just bad at time management. And that might be true, but I know that for me, a lot of it is energy management.
Yeah, me too.
And energy is very different from person to person. Like, I am not a morning person. And so what I started doing is I was scheduling a lot of my things in the afternoons when I'm most productive. But what a lot of those things ended up being were haircuts and dentist appointments and, just like whatever. And so I was using the time, excuse me, I was using the time during the day where I was most productive. I had the highest energy. I was most capable to do things that took no brain power. So what I have done now is I have shifted those appointments to be first thing in the morning so that I can get up, I can still get things crossed off my list that need to get done, but then I have my brain capacity during the time that I need it to do the hard things that are on my list.
That makes a lot of sense. I think that's really smart. And I'm actually the opposite. I am a morning person. I was awake at 4 and couldn't go back to sleep. So I'm like, let's go. And so I'm up and I went and saunaed for a while and came back and got some things done. And then I did my workout, and I have a ton of energy usually right after I work out. And that is a good place for me to really tackle the things. But what I've noticed is what I eat for lunch determines what my afternoon energy is. And it doesn't, like, I have to be extremely careful what I eat. If there's any sort of gluten, any sort of like carb situation, anything heavy, like it literally destroys my energy. And then I'm like, where's my phone? I want to look at Instagram.
Yeah.
And so I've noticed then I got to get up and go for a walk. Then I got to get up and move.
Yawning on the way here, but this has energized me. So I haven't yawned once.
I've had a couple, like I make videos for clients every single time when I run numbers for them. And I had one the other day right after lunch, and I kept like doing this yawn thing. And I was like, I was in the middle of this video and I didn't want to start it over. And so I was like trying to block it. And I was like, I got to stop this. This is ridiculous. I have to start making sure that I'm really just fueling my body with protein, exactly. And not crap at lunch so that I don't lose all of my momentum in the afternoon.
Yeah, I've gotten to be the morning person. It was not my favorite thing.
Good job.
I'm 6:30 now. I'm going to keep shooting for 6. But doing the exercise and meditation in the morning to get that balanced foundation, and then I have the energy to do the hard things.
I think that's great. And I don't think you have to be a morning person either, by the way. I think if you are productive in the evening, make that your time where you are focused in to get your stuff done. I used to be like that in 2020 when it was like crazy refi booms and we were just cranking out as many loans as we can. I would stop work at 5:30 or 6, go make dinner with my family, chill out with them for a while. And then when I'd get, my daughter would go to bed, my husband was like distracted watching TV, I'd go back in the office and crank out loans for 3 more hours. And I got so much done in that time because, again, my phone's not ringing, my email's not blowing up. It's the same thing as getting up early. It just was at the end of the day where I had energy. Now I have no energy at the end of the day, but back then I did.
6.
I think it's important to be able, like the way that I've even figured this out, because you might be looking at your day like, well, I don't really know when I have the most energy. Print out like, okay, I start my day at 6 a.m. I end my day at 10 p.m. Like whatever your average day looks like, and take a green, a yellow, and a red highlighter and just go through hour by hour of what your day typically looks like. And red is your like, I am pretty useless. I can respond to emails and that's about all I got at this time. Your yellow is like, yeah, I can get stuff done, but it's not my best. And your green is, this is when I am crushing it. And schedule your hardest things during your green time.
Yeah.
And schedule your easiest things or your self-care time during your red time.
And give yourself some grace too if it's the week that you just can't stick with that schedule. I had to do that this past week. I hit a wall at 7:30 this past week, and I don't even remember what happened. From getting up from the table for dinner and heading to the sink. And next thing I knew, I was laying in bed. And I did not even remember that transition.
Yeah.
Well, and I think sometimes, with emotional stuff, we're just, those are seasons. Like when we have a lot of heavy emotional stuff, it does wipe us out. And at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm going to sit here and watch TV and drink wine, and that's all I got tonight. And sometimes that's okay. You just can't live in that space. But I do think managing caffeine is a thing, and I don't do caffeine at all. It gives me panic attacks. But I just read this thing the other day where they were saying that hitting caffeine first thing in the morning is the worst thing that you can do, because you need to wake up naturally and you need to find your own natural energy. And their recommendation was have your first cup of coffee at 9:30 in the morning, because that is going to hit that energy band just right about the time that you're feeling like, man, I am tired, I need to go back to bed. It's going to boost that in there for you and then kind of sustain you out, and hopefully then you don't hit that mid-afternoon crash. But the other thing that they were saying about it that I thought was interesting is if you try caffeine after you're already tired, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because the way that caffeine works is it goes in and it blocks the little receptors that receive messages that you're tired.
Right. It doesn't actually give you energy. It just blocks your own body telling you you're sleepy.
That's exactly right. And so if you wait too long for it, then, then it's too late as well. And you just get that jittery.
If caffeine even affects me, because I can drink it at dinner time and still go right to sleep and not wake up. And I can not have it in the morning and just drink water and still feel the same way. So I just enjoy drinking it.
Yeah, I don't know. This thing that they were saying, they're like, oh yeah, people say that all the time, that they can drink it before they go to bed. But the actual quality of your sleep is harder because it is blocking those receptors to what helps you wind down and helps you feel tired. So who knows? I certainly believe that different people can be different, but I thought that was an interesting thing. Oh, and actually, one of the other tips that they said is the best thing you could do if you are wiped out at a certain time of day is take a caffeine nap, meaning chug your coffee and then go take a nap for 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever it is, because it takes a little time for that to kick in. So now while you're napping, you've cleared out all those receptors that told you were tired. And now the caffeine can kick in there and block it for the rest of the day. And you will come up from that nap feeling like $1 million and be great the rest of the day.
That's a great hack. Yeah. Immediately implementing.
I know. I told that one to my teenager and she's like, that's doable. I can do that one.
I love that.
I'm a good 20-minute napper.
Yeah. I want to go back to what you were talking about with emotions, because I do think that we do have a tendency to procrastinate a lot of things where, like you said about, you're procrastinating something that you're the only one that's holding you accountable to that thing. And a lot of times we do that because there's some underlying fear that is hidden in that procrastination. And it can be, am I afraid of failing? Am I afraid of being judged?
Yeah.
Am I afraid I'll succeed and have to level up?
Mm-hmm.
Am I avoiding a decision because it forces an identity shift? And so I think a lot of times we end up procrastinating because there's some sort of hidden fear. And if you can name that fear, I think it takes away some of the power that it has over you.
I think that's really smart too. And I think on the flip side of that, accountability to somebody else can sometimes solve that problem for you and help you push past whatever that fear is, whether that is a coach or a friend or your spouse or somebody. Tell them what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. And I was listening to, I think it was a Cody Sanchez and Tony Robbins podcast. Maybe I talked about this the other day, but she was saying that for her, when she makes a promise to herself, she has a thing where there's a punishment if she doesn't do it. And like her example was something big. Like there was a political party that she did not want to endorse at all, but she had to write a big check to them. And if she didn't do it, that check got sent to them and now she's on their donor list, basically. So something that's a big stick for what is not going to happen. So it could be you get yourself a reward, or it could be there's some sort of a punishment at the end. I had a coach once that if I didn't send him my list of phone calls that I made by 5 o'clock that day and they didn't get my 12 calls in, he fined me $100 every day. And I only one time I missed it by like a couple hours, only because I forgot to text him. I had made the calls, but I didn't text him till 8 o'clock at night. And he's like, I said end of business, sorry. And I was like, shit. But then I never missed it again because he was all business and he truly held me accountable to it.
I love that. I think finding a good accountability buddy can be pretty tough because I know that I have definitely asked for accountability buddies, and it's like you check in once a week and it's super casual and doesn't really do anything. So that's really powerful.
It is. And I think a coach is a great thing. I've had a lot of coaches. Not all of them ever gave me that accountability, but that coach's name was Sean Kaplan, and he's awesome. Best coach I've ever had, hands down, because he actually made me do it. And there was no excuses. It was just black or white. You're doing it or you're not doing it. And I'm going to charge you for it.
Love it.
Sometimes who is the answer, though. I was going to say that sometimes it's who, not how. So if you have something that you're really putting off, like my newsletter, and like one of the things I need to do is figure out the tech side of things. So rather than letting that be a barrier for me, I need to put on my calendar to schedule a call with Dalton Grant at my team in my marketing department for him to just dial it all in and get everything, help me figure out the database accounts that it's going to come out and how am I going to send this. And then he could be my accountability person and be like, okay, I'm sending this on Friday. You need to bug me if I don't do it. Like sometimes
really
it's
smart. Who, not how. Well, and then it makes your first step a lot easier because first step is just scheduling a meeting with him. Right.
And if we don't know what the first step is, then the answer is who does know the first step for me.
I love that.
And I think that's how a lot of corporations or leaders of a company do work, that they figure out who can take on this task, not me.
Yeah. And I think that especially as women, we like to take on everything ourselves. So again, who, not how. Sometimes there's literally a book called Who, Not How. Recommend it. It's a good one. Listen to it on Audible because it's you're going to hear an interview with the author and it's really good. But it is a lot of times who is that person that can help you take one step. I have been saying I don't know how long that I needed to take my health seriously. So I did the scariest thing I could think of. And I called my friend CT and I was like, okay, we're doing this. You're my trainer now. And I'm going to pay you lots of money and you're going to kick my ass. And if I hadn't done that, I would still be in the same place. But because I added a person as my accountability person. And by the way, if you're paying money for it, that usually helps. Like paying money for a coach. I've had cheap coaches and I've had expensive coaches. And the expensive coaches, I always end up doing better because, if I'm paying $100 a month for something, I'm like, whatever. If I'm paying $1,500 a month, I'm going to do what I said I was going to do.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of like what we talked about with finances. If you're putting money behind something, it automatically makes you care about it
That's
more.
right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely right.
I think to kind of wrap everything together, really something that is a constant work in progress is really stepping into the future you. Like if you picture yourself tomorrow morning, what would make her life easier? What would make her proud? What would make her feel super guilty or disappointed in herself? And then design your day based on that. Figure out what is the frog that I need to eat? What are the top 3 priorities that I need to get done? Or maybe not even top 3. What is the first step that I need to take to move this thing off of my list?
Yeah, I love that. I as I've said, I'm a huge Dan Martell fan. And he told me one time, I said, I'm like, I know all the things I need to do. I'm just not doing them. And he said, your why isn't big enough. Like, why do you want to do these things? And like what Courtney said about the newsletter, like, do you need to do the damn newsletter or not? If your why that you want to do it isn't strong enough, maybe it just needs to come off the list. Mm-hmm. But if it's something that you know that you want to do, then you got to figure out the why behind it. And so we were kind of talking about that a little bit. And he goes, well, what does future Renee do? What does Renee that hits that goal? What does that Renee do? What does her day-to-day look like? What does her life look like? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, you got to figure that out. Until you figure out what future Renee looks like, your why isn't big enough.
Just like we talked about in a previous episode, you have to remove something to add something. Right. And so, okay, maybe you genuinely don't have time for this thing that you want to put intention into. Well, look at your schedule and what's something that you're spending a ton of time doing that can come off of that list that you don't want to be prioritizing anymore.
And that's what I've been working on this past year, planning, taking away the management of the Airbnb, taking away some of the marketing stuff that I do. We're supposed to go through and name 5 things that we do really well and that fill you up in my industry, and take everything away and give it to somebody else.
I love that. And I think it can be big things that you're taking away. And sometimes it's little things. We talked about email a little bit. Email is the devil. Yeah. Email will suck your day dry.
Media.
Yes. I wrote email, social media, and phone. Those are the 3 things for me. And like, for example, I have to log into my computer system with my phone. There's a special code thing in there. If I pick up that damn phone just to log into my computer system, it is very often 30 minutes later that I put it down and I'm like, damn it, I need a different way to log into my computer, because just having it in my hand makes me, oh, well, let me just check Instagram really quick. Let me look at this. It's a freaking black hole. They're just like an infinite vortex of like it never ends.
Yeah.
So any app that you open that never ends is not your friend. So maybe setting, I have screen time limits set for certain apps. Like social media is 45 minutes a day total. You can snooze it, but you could also make it so that somebody else has the code to snooze that, and you got to go beg for forgiveness from somebody. So figure out what is your actual black hole. I bet, a lot of people get an hour a day back just by getting out of their email. Like for me, if I am really disciplined about getting in my email 3 times a day, once first thing in the morning, once right after lunch, and once right at the end of the day, those are my most productive days. If I leave that email open all day, I will react to it all day long. And of course, people love how responsive I am, but I've trained them that I'm going to be responsive to them all the time. They know I'm instantly going to. So shut it down, train your team or your family or whatever. If it's urgent, text me. Otherwise, you can shut everything else out and try to really lock in on what you need to do. The important, not the urgent.
The worst is when I have to go do something on social media, and then a few minutes later, I'm like, what was I coming to do again?
100%.
Ugh.
Yep. It's very easy to get sucked into that vortex for sure. So
It's
sometimes
like when you go to Target, I always joke that the Target symbol is actually hypnotizing you. You just walk in and all of a sudden you're like, how did I leave with a full cart? I don't know what happened.
Or Costco.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely a thing. So one of the things I started doing is like my social media time is during my sauna session in the morning, because I'm not doing anything else really productive in there at that time. So fine, you're letting your mind wander. Sometimes I read, sometimes I'll do that, sometimes if I just am up early in the morning, I'll take a bath and get my social media time. But I do think that it's dangerous to start your day with that, because whatever you do very first thing in the morning is what you program your day, that your brain, that you want that the rest of the day.
Yep.
So starting with your phone is a bad plan.
Yes.
Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. I think that if you can take something from this episode, think right now, what's one thing that you've been avoiding that would take 5 minutes or less, and go do that thing right now. And then look at your schedule and block out what's my red time, what's my yellow time, what's my green time, and try to see how you can play around with your schedule a little bit to maybe do a little bit of time blocking and have a little bit more of a productive week this week.
And ask ChatGPT to help you.
Yeah.
I'm going to add that to my list, because now I get up early and there was something else you said that I'm doing now as well.
Well, and like she said, you don't really have to finish it. You just have to start. You have to take one baby step in the right direction.
Yeah.
One bite of the frog.
Yeah. And you don't even have to feel ready. In fact, I would challenge you to say, you're never going to feel ready. It's kind of like having kids. If you wait till you're 100% ready, it's never going to happen. So do the thing before you're 100% ready, and chances are you'll figure it out along the way. That's what almost all successful entrepreneurs do. Successful people in general, they do the thing before they're 100% ready, and they learn it along the way.
100% clarity comes from action for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate you guys. If this was helpful, share with a friend, like, subscribe, and we will see you next week. Here's to empowering each other, one story at a time.